Welcome to Vibrational Revelations. My name is Elena.
I am Alejandro.
And today we have a very special guest, Dr. Sam Osmanagich. And let me do an introduction for Dr. Sam. He's a Bosnian-born Houston resident, author, researcher, and businessman. He has discovered the ancient pyramid complex in Visoko, Bosnian Herzegovina, which consists of 5 colossal stone structures in the shape of the pyramid with an extensive prehistoric underground tunnel work. He has established a nonprofit and non-government archaeological park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, to pursue the excavation and geoarchaeological work. He teaches at the American University in Bosnia, Herzegovina, in anthropology, as an anthropology professor, in particular, Bosnian megalithic series. And I wanted to mention that you also authored 10 books about ancient civilizations. We have a lot to dive into today.
And yes, that's correct. Thank you for the introduction. Actually, by now it is 18 books.
Wow.
Translated into 17 languages.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Amazing. So, yeah, that would be an incredible wealth of information to dive into. And I had no idea. So we'll definitely be ordering some of your literature to read and investigate further.
Well, one can read them for free. One of my websites is booksbydrsam.com, booksbydrsam.com, where you can read them free of charge. I think it's about 10 books over there. And it's about the ancient civilizations. I know that that's also your favorite topics. I've been traveling a lot, investigating, doing a lot of energy measurements, test sampling, trying to find the answers to the very advanced ancient builders on all 6 continents.
Mm-hmm. So let's begin first before we dive into how did we come to be on this planet Earth, which I'm sure is the biggest question you have in your mind. I wanted to know what prompted you to go into researching pyramids and then, of course, discovering the Bosnian pyramid complex.
As a teenager, I used to read a lot. Decades ago, there was no internet. Today, if you want to know something, you go just to non-scientific Wikipedia, you read 2 sentences, and then you think that you know everything. But in my time, you had actually to read the book if you want to find out about certain topics. So I would be reading like 100 books per year after year, from different fields. But the history was especially interesting to me. The more you read, the more you realize that there are some gray areas. You don't really trust those books. You don't trust the educational system. Then you go to the sites to see for yourself. And ancient civilizations and the pyramids in particular was really the most interesting topic for me. And after decades, I realized that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. When we come to the pyramid topic, they tried to program us in the last couple of centuries that the pyramids were built in Egypt and Mexico, which is wrong. They were built on all 6 continents. And for the Egyptian pyramids, they are telling us that they were built by the pharaohs 4,500 years back as tombs. However, in Egypt, there are 155 pyramids, not 118 like Wikipedia claims. 155 because I have visited and investigated all of them. They are in my books. Not a single one has the mummy. But the pharaohs were actually buried, not in the pyramids, but in the Valley of Kings, 200 miles to the south from the Giza Plateau. So the question is, what the pyramids were built for? Who were their original builders? When they were built? How they were built? And for what purpose? So really those 4 or 5 questions are the major questions in archaeology. My PhD was about the Mayan pyramids. Reading Encyclopedia Britannica from a few years back, you could find out that the Mayans were Neolithic tribes. Really, tribes were able to build such a beautiful architecture with so many astronomical and calendar features? I don't think so. More than 97% of their pyramids are still buried. They are under the layers of soil and vegetation. Now, that's my dog. What can we tell about the civilization based on only 3% of their structures? Not very much. So I extended my pyramid research from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize to Peru, Bolivia, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Australia, Sudan, of course, Egypt, Spain, Italy, Greece. And really, sure enough, the pyramids were built all over the planet. Just 1 second. Sunny. Sunny. That's fine. That's fine. 17 years back, in the year of 2005, in the spring, I first came to the central Bosnian town of Visoko. I came to Bosnian town of Visoko to visit the local museum. But what really caught my attention was this, everybody called it natural hill, because it was covered by soil, bushes, pine tree forest, which was planted back in 1970s. But I was looking at the shape. I could clearly see 4 sides. They were triangular in shape, 4 triangular, faces, and I could see the corners, the edges. And the slope was the same from bottom to the top. So geometrically speaking, that was a pyramidal shape. I took compass, and compass showed me that those sides perfectly match the cardinal points, east, west, north, and south. All Egyptian pyramids are oriented to the cardinal points, and especially the northern side is very important. All Chinese pyramids, north. Sudanese, north. Cambodia, Indonesia, Cahokia pyramids in the state of Illinois, Peruvian pyramids, north. As a matter of fact, the Great Pyramid of Egypt has almost perfect orientation. It has an error from the perfect cosmic north of 0 degrees and 3 minutes. Kefren or Kafre, the second largest, 0 degrees, 3 minutes. Myceren, 0 degrees, 18 minutes. Bent Pyramid in Dahshur, 0 degrees, 12 minutes. Beautiful red pyramid in Dahshur, 0 degrees, 5 minutes. Step pyramid in Saqqara, 3 degrees. So basically they are almost perfectly oriented. And we had the State Institute for Geodesy from Bosnia. So 3 geodesists came with the scientific equipment, they connected to the satellite, and they measured the northern side of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. It has an error of 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and only 12 seconds. The most precise orientation on the planet. Based on those 2 elements, geometry and orientation, I immediately knew that it was an artificial structure which has been covered by soil and vegetation after thousands of years, because you have wind brings dusts and soil and the rain and the vegetation. And it's the same scenario in China, 250 pyramids in the same climate belt, a lot of rain, a lot of greenery, Bosnia, Mexico, Guatemala. Of course, Egyptian pyramids, they are south in a desert, sunny, no rain, no greenery. Peruvian, south, desert. So back in 2005, I realized that under the layer of soil, we have huge structure. And I started doing, as a physical, individual person, some preliminary work, geological core drilling, archaeological trenches, lab analysis, and we were finding anomalies after anomalies after anomalies. So we realized it was artificial. Complex. I wrote a book, announced the news to the world that we have pyramid complex in Bosnia. Soon enough, we discovered a total of 6 pyramids. Pyramids of the Sun, Moon, Dragon, Temple of Mother Earth, Pyramid of Love, and the 6th pyramid. The tumuli complex, tumuli or tumulus. Tumulus is artificial conical hill. This one is even bigger than the one in the Silbury Hill, and huge network of underground tunnels. So far, we discovered 6 entrances to those prehistorical tunnels. We cleared about 3 kilometers, about 2 miles. So what we have, huge pyramids above the ground, a lot of tunnels below the ground. Who built this complex? And the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is much bigger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Egyptian, 146.6 meters, Bosnian, 360 meters, more than 1,000 feet. So we have a huge, huge discovery. And unfortunately, as it is always the case, if you start the project as little NGO, non-government organization, without the help of the government, without the help of cultural establishment, they started with attacks. First locally, local archaeologists, geologists, historians, museum curators claiming it's impossible to have pyramids in Bosnia. And later they were supported by European Archaeological Association, people who never came to Bosnia to see the site. English archaeologists, American geologists and archaeologists, Egyptian like Zahi Hawass, all of a sudden the whole world against me. Why? Because I'm claiming in some remote Bosnian hills we have structures below the layers of soil and nobody wanted to come and see. Well, then I realized, well, it must be something special if everybody is against and everybody wants to stop this project, to stop the digging. Well, we got permission when I started my NGO. We got a lot of volunteers starting digging, and sure enough, 1 meter below the layers of soil, we started discovering blocks, rectangular and square. First layer, second, third, fourth. We've analyzed samples in 7 institutes for materials in Italy, France, Czechoslovakia, Bosnia. Everybody told us it was an artificially made concrete. Much better quality than what we can make today. Better hardness and smaller water absorption. So now we have geometry, we have orientation, we have artificial concrete. Through the geophysical instruments, we realized there is a network of passageways inside the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, which is spiral in shape, going towards the top. And then we discovered tunnels below the valley of Bosnian pyramids, network which is probably about 60 miles in length, 100 kilometers. So far, we have cleared more than 2 miles, more than 3 kilometers. And then I realized archaeology is not enough to give us the answers. I had to open interdisciplinary scientific research. So physicists, geophysicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, medical doctors, spiritual scientists, they all started pouring in Visoko. I opened the project for all of them. That was the first case that such a huge archaeological project is not run by the government bodies like departments of archaeology, museums, Ministry of Culture, universities, and so on. So, open-minded, most open project in archaeology in the world. And then, thanks to these experts in energy phenomena, we find out that at the top of the pyramid, we have a very intriguing phenomenon. Namely, at the very top of the pyramid, we have measured energy beam which is electrical in nature, 28 kilohertz. It's continuous because we do measure it during all seasons, spring and summer and fall and winter. It's been measured by 5 different teams at 5 different times. Teams from Serbia, Italy, Croatia, Finland, and Germany. And this energy beam starts at the 13 feet diameter, 4.5 meters, going to 65 feet, coming back to 13, 65, 13. So it's like elliptic. In science, this phenomenon is called Tesla's scalar waves. Why Tesla? Of course, I'm talking about the brilliant mind of Nikola Tesla. 123 years ago, in his lab in Colorado Springs, he was investigating very subtle, soft energies. During the last 50 years, the Russian physicists, they've been investigating the same phenomena, the scalar waves. And they both concluded that the scalar waves, or scalar fields, that they move quicker than the speed of light. Well, how is that possible? Albert Einstein, 100 years back, hypothesized that the largest speed in the universe is the speed of light. It's almost 300,000 kilometers per second. And this is a big speed, really. Our planet, when you go around it, it's about 40,000 kilometers. 40,000, speed of light 300,000, meaning that the speed of light in 1 second can go 7.5 times around our planet. That's a really big speed. However, if you send the speed of light to our sun, it takes about 8 minutes. If you send it to the northern star, it's about 700 years. If you send it to the center of the galaxy, our galaxy, Milky Way, it's about 40,000 years. And if you send it to the center of the universe, where the old wise guy with the long white beard and the white robe is sitting, being very busy creating the planets and star systems and galaxies and the different forms of life, it takes about 5 billion years. So now imagine that we are that wise guy, the creator, the God. If it takes me 5 billion years to find out what's happening with my children, because all these planets, they are his children or her children, it's simply not practical. So imagine, we send a message to the creator, it takes 5 billion years. By the time he answers back, or she, it takes another 5 billion. So it's 10 billion years. It's a very long time. By then, we're going to get very long white birds. So we need something more practical. We need instant transfer of energy, of information. And sure enough, the scalar waves can move those information instantly from one end of the galaxy to another one. That's why we have concluded that the first potential purpose of pyramid energy, that particular energy beam, is to be the communication device. Now, we wanted to see direction of this energy beam. In the morning, it's not exactly at 90 degrees to the sky. It's a little bit moved to the east. Well, the sun rises at the east in the morning. At the noontime, this energy beam is a little bit moved to the south. Well, our sun is exactly located south at the noontime, exactly above our heads. And in the afternoon, southwest, in the evening, west. What does that mean? Well, it seems that this energy beam is following the path of our sun. Does that mean that our planet is communicating with our father, with our sun? Maybe. Does it mean that we use our sun as the gate, cosmic gate, to communicate to other star systems? Maybe. Does it mean that we can communicate through this way of communication with other galaxies? Well, it is very well possible. And usually, the communication is always two-way communication, because the pyramids can emit the information, energy, but also they act as the antennas. So they receive the information. Is it possible that other planets also communicate with their suns, and through the suns with other star constellations and other galaxies, and all this info are going all the way back to the center of the galaxy, and the initial energies, initial information are coming to us through the center of the galaxy? It is possible, and in that case, we could talk about something that we can call the cosmic internet.
But this is so brilliant. And, for us, because we've been measuring and we are saying to people, we use scalar wave technology. And what we actually realized is the information is available at an instant. This is why we're able to measure the past, because the field, the divine biofield, or what is called the human energy field, is actually a record keeper of everything that has ever happened. And this absolutely makes sense that the information is beamed out into the universe, into the sun. I would say it's probably like a satellite dish, probably, for our Milky Way in many ways, right? And then it communicates to other galaxies. And it's really interesting because we've been asked to measure different alien species. We, of course, have never been into alien species. And it's interesting the type of information is coming through. Because it's definitely there. The measurements are showing different frequencies for different planets and for different star systems and different species. So then, of course, it brings out this bigger question: how did we get here? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think that you mentioned one of the key words, field. You see, we are taught that, to think about certain phenomena just in one way. When we talk about moving from point A to point B, it doesn't matter if we move or energy moves or information moves. We always think that we need to go all the way from point A, so many kilometers or so many miles, to point B. But this is just one of the ways. You use the car, or use the bike, or you run, or use the plane. This is just one of the ways. There are different ways to transfer the information. When you have twins, one living, let's say, in New York and another one in Munich, Germany, one collapses in New York for some reason, and his twin brother collapses at the same time in Munich, even though he had no reason to collapse. But obviously, we are talking about the information that move instantly, not in our classical way. So if we can translate this whole thing to the universe, yes, within the field, the movement of the information is instant. And now when you ask about our origin, traditional story is that we are product of the evolution. And sometimes, let's say 400,000 years ago, Homo sapiens appeared, but without the clear connection with the previous species. That's why in biology there is a term called missing link. So when you take the most advanced species, before us, Neanderthals, they were intelligent animals, or the most intelligent animals. But then, but still animals. But after that, you have humans, you have Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens, which is really intelligent, which is artistic, which is it would take through the evolution at least 5-6 million years to go from Neanderthal to Homo sapiens. Something happened. It seems that there was a genetical engineering at one point in the past, that somebody used the genetical material from the most advanced being at that time on this planet, combine this genetical material with its own, let's say, with the cosmic genetical material, and they got completely new beings, Homo sapiens. You know, Neanderthals or apes, gorillas, chimpanzees, and so on, they were really product of evolution in a sense that the strongest species would survive. If you were the strongest, then you were able to find a cave and you were able to get all the good girls and stuff like that. And those who were weak, who were sick, who were, you know, they would not multiply no more. And really, those apes and those species, they would have very few genetical flaws, genetical problems. So they were not supposed to get some serious diseases. 2 or 3 genetical flaws. And then all of a sudden, you have this intelligent artistic being, Homo sapiens, with 5,000 genetical flaws. What does that mean? It seems that this genetical material, which came from the universe, from the cosmos, from somewhere, was from the species who were not adjusted to our planet. And that's the reason why then and today we have beings, we have us. When we are born, we are prone to get one of the, very serious diseases. It can be cancer, it can be tumor, it can be Alzheimer, it can be, whatever. So it seems that something did happen 400,000 years back, because overnight we have completely new and so advanced species. Of course, we can ask ourselves what was the role of those species. And, Zakaria Sitchin is one of the scientists who were bringing some answers. Basically, he was saying that we were humans, we were slaves to more advanced beings who came to this planet from another planet, looking for gold and some other very important materials, taking to their planet to fix it, whatever, we have different scenarios here. So, when you mentioned the origin of man, this is a potential scenario where we can have biology and other sciences involved. And biologists will never find the missing link from Neanderthals to Homo sapiens, because it seems really that we were created in the labs.
Mm-hmm. The other thought that we had, because Alejandro and I looked into these pyramids, especially the Bosnian Pyramid complex, and we saw there's different frequencies actually throughout, like at the bottom of the pyramid, middle, on the top, and you just confirmed that the scientists were actually able to measure that. But the interesting thing is, that it measures really high as far as the impact it has on human energy field and the impact it has on human physical body. And then the question that I had, and maybe this is something you've also questioned and you've done research on, is perhaps those pyramids are communication systems to the galaxies and beyond, but also they're here as healing, supporting systems for the humanity, because we did come with so many genetic imbalances, right? Imperfections. And perhaps this is one of the ways as human beings we can have systems that are in place, like the pyramids,
to find the balance.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. If the communication is the first potential purpose, what would be the second one? It seems that it has to do something with the most precious thing we have in our life, and that would be our health and prolonged living. On one hand, if you are talking about potential beings from out of this planet, they are coming to another planet which is rather hostile to their body. They need some devices which will help them recover or protect or rejuvenate and they built pyramids. But on the other hand, we can also measure the effects of the pyramid energies to us humans. And I would say that we are the first one at the Bosnian Pyramid sites who've been doing very detailed, measurement and medical studies. We use scientific instruments to measure energy phenomena. You enter the tunnels below the Bosnian Pyramids, and we can see 9 energy phenomena combined, and they're all measurable. The first 5 is the absence of bad radiations. The first one is harmful cosmic radiations. Well, we are living on the surface of the planet. And if we agree this is not flat Earth, but this is spherical planet, we are exposed to the cosmic rays, some of those rays are harmful to our body. And our body cells fight those enemies. Well, in the case of the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels, we are 35 meters or 100 feet below the ground. No harmful cosmic radiations. Number 2, natural radioactivity coming from underground. There are instruments called Geiger-Miller counters, and you measure the level of radioactivity. In the tunnels in Bosnia, the values are 100 times lower than the minimum allowed. So no radioactivity, no enemies for our bodies. Number 3, geopathogenic radiations, usually coming from underground water flows. If you have your bedroom above underground water flows, you're going to get sick, bad energy for us. If you are sleeping above Hartmann intersection, bad energy for us. About Kari intersection, Schneider's intersection. So these are energy flows, the underground. Well, the tunnels are perfectly protected. Somebody built huge ceramic blocks, strategically placing them in the tunnels. And their purpose is to neutralize these bad energies. Number 4, cell phones. Of course, we can't live without the cell phones today. But in order to get the signal, we are surrounded by bad electromagnetic fields. While we had 3G network, that was 2.4 gigahertz, 4G, 6 gigahertz, 5G, 60 gigahertz, 6G, it will be 300 gigahertz. These are radio waves. Our microwaves work on those radio waves frequencies. They are very bad. Microwaves, they cause the cancers in our body. We talk on the phone, 10, 15 minutes. Those waves, they burn our brain cells. Well, in the tunnels, we don't have signal for the cell phones. Number 5, Wi-Fi, internet. We can't live without internet, but also bad waves in the tunnels, no signal for the internet. Number 6, the best electromagnetic frequency that we measure in the tunnels, 28 kilohertz, that's planetary frequency. What's coming from our mother planet, of course, is good for us, especially if you make it stronger. Number 7, the best frequency of the ultrasound. What we can hear is called sound, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. About 20 kilohertz is called ultrasound. Well, we measure 28 kilohertz of ultrasound frequency in the tunnels and on the pyramids. This is the frequency of the levitation. We feel light in the tunnels. Number 8, very low frequency. They call it ELF, extremely low frequency of 7.83 hertz. In science, it is called the original Schumann Resonance. Nikola Tesla, 125 years ago, was saying that our planet resonates at about 8 hertz. Austrian von Schumann measured it 50 years ago, 7.83 hertz. When we think, our brain waves, they operate at 7.83 hertz. As long as our brain waves and our planet are the same frequency, we are in balance. But guess what? From 1990s, due to our bad technology, TVs, computers, laptops, cell phones, satellite dishes, American Project HARP, so much bad electromagnetic fields, so much bad EM smokes. it has to go somewhere. It goes to the ionosphere around our planet, putting a pressure on our mother planet. And now she starts resonating a little bit higher, 10 hertz, 12 hertz, 15 hertz, 18 hertz. Well, our brain, 7.83. In New York, 18 hertz. What we have is a disbalance, which causes the stress. You go to Bosnian Pyramid tunnels, 7.83. You go back to your balance. And phenomenon number 9 that we measure in the tunnels is called negative ions. What are negative ions? There's some extra electrons in atoms or molecules. Now, they are in the air. They connect with the dust. They become heavy. They go on the floor. So negative ions, they clear the atmosphere from dust, from pollen. Imagine, pollen, spring, summer, allergies, no pollen. They clear the atmosphere from molds, from fungi, from microbes. So they are very good for us. They clear our body from viruses, bacteria. In our homes, in our offices, very low concentration of negative ions, 20, 30, 40 per square centimeter. Well, in the cities, a little bit fresher, 150. On the mountains, in the forests, about 1,000. In Bosnian Pyramid tunnels, from 20,000 to 60,000 negative ions. So it's 50 times healthier than on our planet. So when you combine those 9 elements, absence of all bad radiations, presence of all good energy phenomena, what we have the most healthiest place on the planet. So you were right. What's happening in the pyramid tunnels is direct effect to our health. The regeneration process starts. Detoxification process starts. And if we get lucky, a rejuvenation process starts. And I would say, yes, that would be the second major purpose of the pyramid energy.
Yes, makes total sense. And the rejuvenation happens without a doubt as soon as the detoxification of the cells begins too, right? Or at least it slows down the aging process.
How many times does a person have to go in?
Well, I used to live in Sarajevo, which is about half an hour drive. And now I built a house just next to the tunnels, 100 meters, 300 feet from the tunnels. I built a beautiful house and I go to the tunnels basically daily. I feel good, with Corona and everything. I still met thousands of people. I never got Corona. Now, people come with, different diseases, with different health challenges. People come with a high, blood pressure. Let's say 180 over 20. You go to the tunnels, it calms you down. You go outside, 120 over 80. People come with a high sugar, high glucose in the blood. The way we measure it, above 10 is diabetes. From 6 to 10 is a risky group. From 3 to 6 is a normal. People come with a 10, 12, or 15. One visit, it drops to 5, 6, or 7. So, if you have some serious stuff, if you have tumors, people come for 10 days. They go to the tunnels twice a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. In the meantime, they walk through our beautiful park that we built, harmony with the nature, water fountains, labyrinths of love and energy, botanical gardens, and so on. They go to the tunnel again, they relax, they are, with themselves, they have no one around them, and they can see excellent health improvement. And even though we always say, well, we are not in a healing business, we don't give medical guarantees. We don't want troubles with the, Ministry for Health. But what we do, we film testimonials. Sometimes people come with the documents, with the medical reports, before and after. We had people with different forms of tumors or cancers, like lung cancers, which is real bad. They refused to go, for the surgeries or chemotherapy. Or they would come to Visoko, to Ravne Tunnel, spend a few weeks, and they would get excellent results. So it seems, of course, that it's not just enough to be in the tunnels, but it's very important, maybe major part. But then you need to, change your habits that causes the cancer. People are under stress, and very often for no obvious reasons. So the stressful way of living. Via what we drink. We can drink, for example, the pyramid water, which we have here, which is excellent. It's not treated, but no viruses, no bacteria. Why? Because of high concentration of negative ions. pH is excellent, 7.5, which is pH of our blood. It's energy water. It vibrates very high. We send samples to late Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan. And when he got our samples frozen at minus 21 degrees Celsius, he took a photo under electronic microscope. The molecular structure was hexagonal. Oh, wow. Hexagon is the most powerful geometrical shape. It consists of 6 equilateral triangles, of 6 pyramids. And we could see beautiful crystal-like molecular structure. It is energetically alive. The water that we drink, the city water, the bottled water, which is treated by chlorine, it has fluorides, it has traces of heavy metals, it has traces of plastics, energetically dead via what we drink. pH, 0 to 14, 7 is neutral. Our blood is 7.45. Below 7, well, take soda drinks. They are at 2.7 level. I mean, that's ideal for the cancer. What we drink. We are what we eat. We are what we think. Do we have our mind contaminated? Or do we have a love for the whole planet? We are what we think. We are, where we go. If we choose, like in the last couple of years, many people has chosen that way, to stay within 4 concrete walls, watching TVs and the news about so many, dead because of corona, filling the head with the negative news. Or we go outside to the nature, we listen to the birds, how they're singing, and we listen to the water, or we live in harmony with the nature. So we are where we go. Basically, it all affects us. So once we realize that we need to change our habits, plus you add the pyramid energies and the tunnels, of course you're going to have the healings. Of course you're going to have a smile on your face. So,
And the concept that pyramids are like antennas, right? They receive and transmit information, applies to human beings as well. Also, the difference there is that the pyramids remain within the same position at all times, but humans change that flow through their thinking, to what thoughts they are entertaining the most, right?
Well, that's true. And look at our civilization. Even before September 11, there was a change in the frequency. So when that happened, so many things has changed. More security, losing our freedoms and our human rights and things like that. So it seems that, sometimes we react on the events that's going to happen or that already happened. So yes, frequency is very important there. And again, let's go back to Nikola Tesla. He said, if we look the universe through energy and frequency and vibrations, we're going to get better understanding of how the universe works. Energy, frequency, vibrations. Every little thing has its own frequency. It can be stone, it can be gold, it can be hollow space, it can be plant, it can be anything from mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, or human kingdom. They are all at different frequencies. So you are right. When we think certain way, we create certain frequencies. And in general, you know, frequency affects the vibrations, how we vibrate, how water vibrates, how food vibrates. The idea is to have higher vibration. You drink the water which is polluted, or soda drinks with a low vibration, it will affect us also. We will vibrate lower. We will be tired, there will be tension, you know, lack of emotion or even violence. And the opposite, we vibrate higher. Then, of course, we live in peace and friendship and love and so on. So the idea in this life is to really live full, fulfilled life, happy life, affect other people, vibrate higher. It's all about the vibration. And now we realized in Bosnia through our project that pyramid energy literally affects anything and everything. So communication was one, health was number two, water was number three, food was number four. We did an experiment with the seeds of beans. We took one bag with the beans, with the seeds of beans, we put it at home. That was our control group. We took another bag, we put it in the pyramid tunnels. We took the third bag, we put it on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. So those two bags, they were exposed to the pyramid energies. The first one was not. We waited for 14 days, 2 weeks. And then we were checking the germinization process. How many seeds will start growing? In a case of the control group, which was not exposed to the pyramid energy, percentage of germinization was 60%. So not every seed would start growing. And we know that from our, practical life. You buy the seeds for plants, for the flowers, for vegetables, for fruits. You plant it. Not every seed will start growing. So 60%. But seeds from the tunnels and seeds from the top of the pyramid of the sun had 100% germinization, meaning the pyramid energy affects the DNA of the plants. Now, the season for the beans was from end of May until the beginning of September. So we were watching the growth of the plant, regular and pyramid plant. Pyramid plant would grow 2 times quicker, richer, and healthier, comparing to the seeds that were not exposed to the pyramid energy. Our conclusion, pyramid energy affects the food. Number 5, our good friend, Professor Constantine Korotkov from University of St. Petersburg, also a brilliant scientist who invented 17 different instruments to measure the energies, who combined the Eastern traditions, Tibet, China, India, with the Western technology. Well, one of his instruments is called BioWell. What BioWell does through literally electromagnetic frequencies of your 10 fingers, it describes several different elements of your energy body. The first one is our bioenergy field or auric field. And in the last 6 years, we have measured, we have scanned 4,200 people before entering the tunnels and after coming back, after 1 hour. You know, in medicine, if you have a group of 100 subjects, this is a significant number. This is scientifically accepted, 100. And we have had 4,200. More than 90% of them had improvement of bioenergy field. We could notice that many of them, before entering the tunnels, would have discontinuation in their energetical field. Why? Because of the stressful way of living, challenges or problems, as they call them, financial, emotional, family, business, and so on. They go to the tunnels, this field is filled with the energy. The second element are chakras. 7 chakras at the level of our body. 13 altogether, but they are way out. Those 7 chakras, in most cases, they were not in the balance. They were left and right, and they were rather small, closed. Why? Fear, uncertainty, stuff like that. Well, after visiting the tunnels, they are coming back to the balance and they open up. Once those chakras open up, even though they are in the energy aspect of our life, they start influencing our physical reality. For example, if energy flows better through our chakras, they affect our blood circulation. And if our blood circulates better through arteries and alveoles, it means we are healthier. So, chakras going back to the balance. The next element is energy in the cells. More energy, we can better fight potential diseases. The next one would be the stress level. We live in a stressful environment. We could see that the stress would be reduced. So these are all instruments and all measurements that they tell us that the pyramid energy affect major and significant processes in our life. Immunity, very important. In the last couple of years, we witnessed that media wants to convince us that the key word is the vaccine. The key word is immunity. Vaccine or no vaccine, we're going to get viruses, bacteria, they're all around us for thousands, for millions of years. We cannot live without them, but if we have some bad ones or extra bad ones, no bueno, not good for us. But immunity takes care of that. So, going to the tunnels, your immunity going up.
Natural immunity, you mean?
Natural immunity, exactly. Mm-hmm. The next one, spiritual abilities. Very important one. Of course, we have our physical dimension. We rely on our 5 physical senses. We can hear, we can see, we can taste, we can smell, we can touch. 5 physical senses. But our physical senses are very, very limited. What we can hear, as I said a few minutes ago, is a sound from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Above 20 kilohertz, we don't hear it. It's very high pitch. It's called ultrasound. Below 20 hertz, it's called infrasound. Very, very, very deep. But imagine, we cannot hear 25 kilohertz. We cannot hear 50 kilohertz. We cannot hear megahertz. We cannot hear gigahertz. What we can hear is so small. If we could hear a little bit more, our world would look so much differently. The same thing goes for our eyesight. We can see so little, only those 7 colors. If we can expand it, then we could start seeing stuff like our cats. They can see the energy entities, they can see ghosts, they can see orbs, they can see all kinds of, beings in a little bit different dimensions. Now, besides 5 physical, we have at least 30 spiritual senses. We can see more, we can sense more. We can communicate with our thoughts. Telepathy is a spiritual sense. We can move stuff, again, with our thoughts. Telekinesis is a spiritual sense. We can even move through space and time. Teleportation is a spiritual sense. The problem is, in the last few thousand years, nobody teaches us those abilities that we have hidden in us. Why? Because the less we use our spiritual abilities, the less we know, and we are easier to be controlled and to be manipulated. Mm-hmm. If they limit our existence only to the physical dimensions, and they fill these dimensions with the fear, with the TVs and mainstream media, of course they're going to control us. But imagine the world where you can move through space and time. Instead of reading the books that are telling you 1799, Napoleon went and conquered Egypt, how about we move through, let's say, astral projection to 1799, and we see for ourselves if Napoleon, that little guy who kept his hands here, if he really existed, if he really conquered Egypt, if he really spent the night at the king's chamber, if he really had this experience. So imagine that we can move through space and time. We would feel free. Yes. Free. If we could live our lives with the physical and spiritual dimensions in balance, we would be free. And if we are free, we have no fear. And if we have no fear, we don't care who's in the political government, because they cannot influence our life. Mm-hmm. And once we start doing, let's say, astral projections, or start, communicating with the fields, then we realize, hey, we are much more than our physical body. Yes, physical body is important, but this is, for one use only. We die, but there is a substance that lives after we are physically discarded, and it is called soul. Soul is almost forever. It lasts almost forever. I'm saying almost because God at some point decided to create so many souls, sending them through the universe to different planets, to different bodies, to experience different stuff. Even right now, our soul, through our physical senses, is experiencing our physical reality. At one point in the past, we were probably in the skin of lion, before that plant, or mineral kingdom, or lava. And then after this experience, and by the way, many, many experiences in human bodies, we will realize that we have learned everything that we could on this planet, which, by the way, has rather rough frequencies. And then to go to another one, which is more sophisticated, and to start with more experiences, and different star systems, and different galaxies, and different universes. Not only one universe, not two, not three, but unlimited number of universes, universe of universes. And at the end of this very, very long road, once we experience everything, then we go back as a little drop of the water to the ocean. We go back to the Creator. And now it will be unlimited number of those little drops with unlimited number of experiences. That's why I'm saying the soul is almost infinite, almost forever, but it's not. So that's the second entity that live together with our physical body. As a matter of fact, our physical body is a protection for our soul, which is located right here. The moment we die, the soul leaves the body, it's 21 grams. 21 grams. It even has the mass. But then the soul is a protection for something even more valuable, for spirit. And spirit would be that divine part, divine little light in us. You know how the holy books are saying the God is everywhere around you and inside you? Yes, and that would be the spirit. So, three entities: physical body, for one use only, the soul, which is almost forever, and finally the spirit, which is forever. And now imagine the opportunity that we have during this life. Through the meditation, we can go very deep. We can access the field. The field, the matter of fact, our soul has been having so many experiences that if we communicate only with our soul, or if we explore everything hidden in that field, we find almost all the answers. Because imagine how many lives in the past and how many lives in the future our soul has. We can access all those information. So this is very exciting. And then plus, if you go even deeper, like some of the Indian gurus, they can even touch that divine light deep inside. So really, every one of us has such beautiful opportunities. Just we need to get inside into our inner cosmos.
Yes, so beautifully said. And coming down to that realization of the understanding it fully, you know, that we are those three bodies and we are limitless in a way. And that really is how one can experience true sovereignty, you know?
And this is the part I think you were saying, that when people go into the pyramids, that this is another awakening many people have, is a spiritual sense, right?
That's why I started. I said, besides all other facts that I mentioned, communication and the food and the health and the water and immunity and the energy and stuff like that, spiritual abilities. You know, I realized when you go to the ancient sites, they can be pyramid sites or megalithic sites. The ancient builders have chosen those sites because of the energies. So they were already energy potent places. But by building pyramids, the pyramids would act as the energy amplifiers, and they would amplify our planetary, our good energies, affecting our spiritual abilities. So they were like field schools. Instead of our educational system, you go to school, you go to that building, and they try to teach you something through the books, and they have the test, and if you answer correctly, the way they teach you, you're going to pass. If you start critical thinking, hey, Egyptian pyramids were not tombs. Wait a minute, you won't pass the test. Instead of that, imagine that we teach our kids how to use their abilities, creative thinking and creativity, how to ask the questions, how to question everything. We are not there to, even everything I say, 99% should be, looked and say, hey, maybe this guy is not right. Let me double check this.
He says exactly.
I encourage people to go and check, to filter the information and find out for themselves. And then, they can ask themselves, hey, why is Wikipedia attacking this guy, Dr. Osmanagich? Why National Geographic is attacking? But why Discovery Channel is supporting him, History Channel is supporting him, Scientific Conference is supporting him, but Zahi Hawass, the leading Egyptologist, attacking him, and so on. So, people need to ask themselves the questions.
Mhm.
But imagine those sites, strong energies. You start developing your spiritual senses. You can start feeling the energies of the stones, energies of the trees. Then you realize, hey, this tree is alive, energetically alive. It has very strong energy, and this energy is going through my body. What is this experience that I'm having right now? Well, nobody teaches us about stuff like that. You go, you hug the tree, you thank him because it gave you some of its energy. You filled your auric field. You go to some other people, you look at them. First, you can see their auric field. Sometimes it's very strong, it's very thick. In the beginning, you can see it as whitish field. With the time, you can start seeing the colors. Seeing the colors, well, then you know if it is red color meaning temperament, but sometimes it can mean violence. Or blue or green color, well, health and love. Or white color, wow, white color, the guy meditates all day long, for 20, 30 years. So seeing the colors, then you learn about those persons. They don't need to tell you anything. We live in a world where people are telling us stuff. You believe them, you don't believe. They can tell you all kinds of stuff. But if you learn the techniques, how to see the colors of their auric field, then you can start receiving the messages. Every one of us has the message for each other. You have a message for me, I have a message for you. Sometimes we meet 5 minutes or 2 hours in our lives, and this message is stronger than the message we are getting from our partners in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. We have messages for each other. We meet people at the airports with a very strong message. But sometimes we are too shy to talk, to start conversation, and we lose the message. Imagine this situation. We developed our spiritual abilities and techniques. We come to the person, we stand in front of her or him, you look at this person, you read the auric field, you are getting the messages, this person is getting the messages, we smile, we hug, and we continue. About that world, the world without the lies, the world where everything is open, nothing to hide, the world with advanced spiritual abilities, and sure enough, those energetically point places with megalithic sites, pyramids amplifies the energies, megalithic circles amplify and focusing the energies, Stonehenge, Avebury Hill, Karnak, Rujmal Khiri, Israel, Alestenar in Sweden, and so on. So those sites were the field schools.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. You know what just came to me? And because you shared in the beginning that the pyramid's direction is at 0 degrees. And I actually thought about, because sometimes when we've measured avatars, they have personal growth at 0 degrees, and we refer to it as 0-point field. And I wonder if those are the degrees of a portal where, information comes and it's transmuted through that 0 degree field. What would you say? Have you ever thought about that 0 degree?
Well, when we talk about cardinal points and directions, well, I was reading decades ago the Egyptologists, archaeologists, and they would just mention that those pyramids have perfect orientation. And then we have independent researchers like Graham Hancock, John Anthony West, and the others would also say the same thing. Hey, look at this precision. It's impossible that slaves could do that. But I have not received an explanation why perfect orientation. But once you realize that everything is energy, like Tesla said, then you realize our planet is huge energy ball. Energy ball. Well, you have energy flow. And the strongest energy flow is north-south, and then east-west. As a matter of fact, our body also works as, the cardinal direction. This is our north. south, east, west. We go to sleep and we keep our head to the north. Then we are in balance with our planetary energy flows. If our head is, let's say, 30 degrees off the north, then the energy flow of the planet and our comes to the tension. What happens? We don't sleep right, we wake up in the middle of the night, and in the morning we are tired. This is some type of the knowledge that the ancients had. So always keep our heads to the north. If it is impossible, the second best option, east-west. On the northern hemisphere, north. On southern hemisphere, south. If we have South Africa or Australia or South America, our head should be turned south. Now, once I realized that, then it became much clearer to me why the pyramids were oriented to the cardinal points. You build four-sided pyramid, you have perfect orientation north-south, east-west. It initiates movement of the energy inside the pyramid. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the energies, what independent researchers don't know, what mainstream researchers don't know, because they don't have engineering mind, they don't combine, physics, engineering knowledge with the archaeology and geology and so on. What they don't know is that there are three different energy flows when it comes to the pyramid. The one that I just mentioned, energy flow within the pyramid. Two-dimensional, it looks like this. You have triangle and you have circle inside the triangle. And the energy goes to the 1/3 of the height, hitting it, going back to the 2/3, coming down to 1/3, hitting the wall, and completing the circle at the bottom. So you are getting full circle, two-dimensionally, and three-dimensionally, it goes like this. Interestingly enough, 3 chambers in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, they call them for some reason kings and queens and unfinished chamber, they are all on the way of this energy flow. And when you are exposed to the energy of the pyramid, then you improve your spiritual abilities, you regenerate yourself, you rejuvenate yourself, and possibly you can do your astral projections much, much easier. So I would say this energy flow is so important, and it is connected to those cardinal points. And by the way, when I mentioned 3 different energy flows, that was energy flow within the pyramid. The first one I did mention earlier, there's this energy beam going through the top. And the third one is energy flow going off the pyramid, on the ground, affecting villages, agriculture, social relationships. Why I'm saying social relationships? Our good friend, Dr. Alexander Golod, also from Russia, he built 16 pyramids, one of them in Moscow. Unfortunately, that was being destroyed 4 years ago. That one was 22 by 22 meters, 44 meters high. Well, I visited the pyramid, I spoke to him, and he told me that at one point he put 5 tons of kitchen salt in the pyramid. And then he went to sign the contract with the nearby prison, government prison, which had 6,000 prisoners. And he brought these 5 tons of salt, which he kept for 1 month in the pyramid. And he asked department chiefs to give the salt prisoners during the breakfast, lunch, and dinner time. Only a little bit of salt. 3 months later, he went to see if it caused any of the changes. And those department chiefs were telling him, well, this is impossible. It is like we have brand new prisoners. Mm-hmm. The violence level was reduced to 0.
Wow.
This is a huge prison, 6,000 prisoners. Those people, they love to play with the knives and the guns, and they, blackmailed each other. Zero was violence level. After a year, he went to renew the contract, but the government didn't want to sign it. Why? Well, most probably, the governments want us to be violent so they can have their instruments of power, the police, inspections, and prisons, and armies, and, so they can rule us.
That's brilliant, because salt actually is a crystal, and it's imprinted with information. Genius. It did that. Yeah. Wow. How many pyramids? I know that in your Bosnian pyramid complex, there's a lot of research going on. Are there other pyramids also that are being investigated for healing properties and things like that?
Now, this is very unfortunate. The best known pyramids are in Egypt, Giza pyramids. Egyptologists do not allow any other scientists besides archaeology or Egyptology. They do not. They don't want physicists, they don't want electrical engineers, they don't want medical doctors. The same scenario in Peru, China, in Mexico, in other countries. Our friend, Dr. Danny Hillman, he discovered the pyramid in called Gunung Padang in Western Java. 28,000 years old. It's in the jungle. I was there. It has good geometry, 4 sides, regular orientation. It has volcanic stones, a lot of iron, electromagnetism. It has a huge chamber inside the pyramid. He found that one out through the geophysical measurements. But cultural establishment, archaeologists and historians were against investigation because of one very small temple, which was at the very top of the pyramid. There are like 4 different cultural layers. The oldest one, 28,000. They said, no, that was a Buddhist temple, it cannot be disturbed, blah, blah, blah. They could work, at the base. It's more than 100 meters in height, more than 330 feet. They did not allow him to continue his research. So it's a shame that archaeologists are actually the most conservative scientists in the scientific spectrum. The only research on pyramids that have been done besides Bosnia are 2 more countries. One is Russia, the other one is India. In Russia, there are 3 scientists. I mentioned Dr. Golod in Moscow. I mentioned Dr. Korotkov in St. Petersburg. And the third one is Valery Uvarov, also in St. Petersburg. And he's actually the pyramid builders. He built pyramid in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, and he's building the pyramid complex in Tomsk, Siberia. I was the first foreigner to visit this complex. It's a complex of 33 pyramids. It was financed by the local rich person, and he has a chain of 54 food stores. And what he does, below the pyramid, he has warehouses where he stores the food, the drink, which later on he sells in his stores. So now we can see that, the pyramid energy does affect the food. And also they did some measurements of the auric field, sugar, and so on, also with very good results. And the third country is India. Our also very good friend, Brahmarshi Patriji. Patriji started this process of building the pyramids all around India. His pyramid that he built can hold 4,000 people. He's building them exclusively for the meditation. And what he does replica of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, 52 degrees, all 4 sides, and thousands of people go to the pyramid to meditate, because the meditation is much stronger inside the pyramid. He started this movement, spiritual pyramid science movement, And there is even a bigger pyramid in southern India, which can hold almost 8,000 people. But they built hundreds of big stone pyramids and thousands of smaller 2, 3, 4 meters high wooden pyramids in almost every Indian village. So I would say India, Russia, Bosnia are 3 countries where people experience with the pyramid energy. They have institute in India, and they are checking the effects of the pyramid energy to vegetables, let's say to tomato. So what they do, they build smaller pyramids and they keep fresh tomato in the pyramid. They put another one on the table in the kitchen, and they are checking after 3-4 days. This regular tomato, it goes bad. The one in the pyramid stays fresh for 1 month or 2 months. So now we know that even smaller replicas, even if you put just 4 little wooden pieces or even copper pieces, when you build a pyramid, it does not have to have solid walls. It still generates energy flow within the pyramid, which affects, in this particular case, vegetables. So yeah, there is some pyramid research and some individual research. Many individuals in Germany, in America, and so on, they experiment with the pyramids. Pyramids were built in many places, a lot of individuals in Canada, in the US, they build the pyramids and stuff like that. They're checking effects. But systematic research, Bosnia, India, Russia.
Amazing. How many people come and how often, I guess, do you have visitors to Bosnian pyramids? I definitely want to come.
Yeah, our sites are open all 365 days a year. So no holidays, no nothing. Right now, I have about 65 people in my foundation. I have workers, they work in the tunnels, clearing the pyramids. I have my official guides, we train them, so they welcome all the guests. We have our office people, we have our department for the tourism who take care of the accommodation. We find places, hotels, and so on. We work with the local women organization. They prepare organic food, and then we can do 1 day tour, 3 days, 7 days, and so on. So when it comes to the number of people, 2018 I had 40,000 visitors. 2019 50,000 visitors. 2020 Corona year, 74,000 visitors. 2021, last year, 136,000 visitors. 2022, this year, I expect between 150 and 200,000 visitors. So every year, it's more and more. People come. Sometimes they come 3-4 times a year from different parts of Bosnia, from Serbia. Even, the lockdowns, people were finding their ways to come here. Right now, it's really open. People can come from Croatia, Slovenia, Germany, and Holland, and Norway, and Sweden. They come, even though Ukraine war, it's thousands of kilometers away, but sometimes people in the US think, oh, Ukraine is in Europe, it's close to everything, Bosnia, Germany. It is not. So people keep coming here. They have wonderful experiences. And I did mention briefly our park. I purchased about 100,000 square meters, 1 million square feet of the swampy, muddy land with a lot of garbage. And we transformed it into the beautiful park with the water fountains and the labyrinths. And we have our festivals, 4 festivals this year for the summer solstice, June 17th, June 21st. During the daytime, book promotions, meditations, yoga, spiritual stuff. And in the evenings, we have concerts, music, people dance, people relax. It'll be 5-day festival in June, 3-day in July, 3-day in August, 1 for the fall equinox. We have some sports events. Right now, we are building 2 tennis courts. The best world tennis player, Novak Djokovic, he's been here for 5 times already, and he can really appreciate this place because it's spiritually strong, and we really support the concept of healthy living, healthy food, healthy juices, different concept of healthy living. Instead of us becoming extension of technology. We want people, who enjoy the life in harmony with the nature and using the technology that will serve us. So we open, and then, people can always really come. They can come by their own. They can talk to us. We can organize stuff for them. But even if they come on their own, Sarajevo airport is very close. It's half an hour from here. On booking.com, people just type down Visoko, and they will get about 250 different accommodation places. So they come, they enjoy their life here. During the Corona times, in our case, no discrimination, no masks. We didn't care if people are vaccinated, non-vaccinated. This was an island of freedom.
Beautiful. It's like a high-frequency cosmic retreat.
That's it. So what would be a website people can look this all up if they want to be part of the festivals and things like that?
Yes. Bosnian Pyramids.org.
Okay, easy enough. All right.
Let me double check. We have like 6-7 different sites.
Okay.
Bosnian Pyramids.org. Is that the one? No, that's not the one. Just 1 second. Bosnian Pyramids.org. Yes, Bosnian Pyramid.org. Okay, it's not plural, it's pyramid. Bosnian Pyramid.org.org.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you. I have one last question for you. I have millions of questions, but one more, I promise. I'm curious if you've noticed working in those Bosnian pyramids and everything that you do, if you've sensed, because you talk a lot about intuition, right? And opening up your spiritual senses. Have you seen a major shift in that aspect in regards to yourself?
Of course. I came here 15, 16 years ago, and it really has changed my life. 16, 17 years ago, when I started the project, I was into the archaeology, digging. And in the meantime, I realized, hey, it's not only archaeology, it's a science. But then science has shown me it's about the energy aspect. And the energy aspect affects our spiritual beings. It affects our health. So it was thing after thing after thing. While I was living in Houston, Texas, until 15 years back, I was a businessman. I had my own business, which I sold in the meantime, and I started with a nonprofit here. You are working at the office, looking at the computers all day long. Then you go home, looking at the laptop, at emails and stuff like that. And in the evenings, my eyesight, I could see stuff blurry. I went to check my eyesight. They said, well, you have like 1.25 or something. So I started wearing those glasses, reading glasses. And then I came to Bosnia, came to the tunnels. In the last 15 years, I had no need for glasses, no more. So, in my case, I realized it does help the health condition. And I don't use a single pill, no prescription, no nothing. I live healthy. I drink this not treated water. I try to eat only organic food. I'm in the tunnels very often. I meet with the people. I'm in the nature. I built a house here next to the tunnels. I have my fruit trees. I have my little forest. I enjoy the life.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your wealth of information, truly divine information, which is, I think, the biggest message for all of us. The takeaway is to learn to live in harmony with nature and yourself, because we are nature.
Correct.
So Alejandro and I are looking forward to coming to Bosnian Pyramids. This is on our absolutely
top of the list.
Top of the list, yes.
Well, thank you guys, and you are very welcome. Just contact me and we'll be here for you guys.
Oh, thank you so much.
You so much.
What a blessing. All right. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.